Maven Nation. Welcome to another episode of Success with Saneness, your bi-weekly dose of solution-inspired stories to help you maintain your well-being. So today I have, again, the honor. All of these women are my honor to have them be my guests. Dr. Nina, you probably know her from YouTube as Beautiful Brown Baby Doll. She is a notable influencer. So listen, this word influence, some people be saying they influencers and okay, that's fine. But true influencer, over 1 million followers over on YouTube, an active and engaged community. She is a tenured professor. The list goes on and on. She is absolutely amazing. We do business together, but not only that, she is absolutely one of my wonderful friends. I'll have to come back at the end and tell y'all how she had me in home goods. Never, ever. But I did have a good time. We did have a good time. So, Maven Nation, welcome Dr. Nina to this episode of Success with Saneness. Welcome, Dr. Nina.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Maven Myra. I really do appreciate you, and I'm excited about this, and I'm excited to have the conversation with you.
Yeah, so I know your wonderful journey that you've evolved through to end up where you are now. I've been married a little over a year and tenured professor last year or year before last, over 1 million followers on YouTube during the quarantine. Like, listen, it all keeps going. You and I laugh all the time about how God shows up for you. It just be like you just trucking along doing your thing, and boom, he'd be like, "There you go. There's another milestone to say you followed the path." So tell us a little bit, for those that don't know you, a little bit about your journey.
So a little bit about my journey. I would say my journey, I have to include childhood quickly. Again, years ago, when I was 3 months old, I was adopted. And my mother raised me as a single parent. She decided after she had been divorced and she knew she wanted a child of her own, she got me quicker than she bargained for. And I feel like we grew together, right?
Okay.
So my mother was one of 12 children, but being that she never had her own child, it was just totally different for her. And I know she wanted to instill in me values that allowed me to expand upon my natural talents. So my mother was one of those mothers that, oh, you can do the splits? Let's go to gymnastics. Oh, you like music? We gonna learn this. So she had me classically trained at piano for 10 years. I played the viola, the violin, the cello. I rap, I sang. I did gymnastics even for a little while, ran track, did all kinds of stuff. And that translated into my latter years, like really getting engaged in a lot of different things that I enjoyed. And because that foundation was laid and my mother had always encouraged me, always wanted me to seek, higher goals and do more than she had the opportunity to do, that was what happened in my later years. And I really did enjoy learning and growing and executing. And the motivation was not the same as I think some can be. I think a lot of times when people see high achievers, they assume that people do it for a pat on the back. And while pats on the back are nice and they're cute, I really felt that the foundation that was built, they're cute, but that foundation was built in a way that I think allowed me to expect greatness from myself while learning to adapt to that thing and appreciating that thing, not for pats on the back, but because I wanted to extend upon my abilities and use them to the best of God's glory even, right? Because I feel like if we don't use what we have, it gets taken away. So that's how I ended up here today. And I feel like that led me into the wonderful relationship with my husband, my family, my friendships, friends like you, mentors like you and others. And has allowed me to really expound upon who I am as a woman who seeks to do even more as I continue to grow.
I love that, and shout out to Mr. Harness, my friend. We're the Double Lions. That's a whole nother podcast on that right there. But you know what? One of the things from the first time I met you, and we have our laughs and giggles about our initial meeting, and then when we reached out and met for lunch. One of the things that struck me about you is your true genuineness. I remember when we went on our trip to Austin and my best friend said to you, you know, you're really much nicer than you have to be. I was like,
what? She did say that. She did say that.
That is so true. Good old Nikki for the win on that. But one of the things that really struck me was really your genuineness and the way that I watched you grow and move. You talked about it. Your mother instilled those things in you. What is it that you want to do and you go after it? I've never seen you move in a way where it's, well, let me do this to get the accolade or the next award or whatever. And I think that's one of the things we're going to dig a little bit deeper into, creating that balance in life. And one of the ways that you have to do that, I think we as women, high achieving women, we have to get clear about what is that we want? What are we trying to go after? And the right intentions behind it, because listen, this work really is not skippable. And when you're trying to go after something just because the looks, the awards, man, that stuff is exhausting. I mean, doing it for real can be exhausting. So if you're trying to do it with a crazy motive, I'm like, so why? Why are we doing that? So tell me a little bit about the part of your journey with you being a tenured professor out at Stephen F. Austin here in Texas, and what that journey is like, and how that, like, that's your primary job, right? You almost wouldn't know, like I don't know, you have several primary jobs. Let me rephrase. But how does that work?
Right.
Yeah. How does that work play into all of it? I look at life as a pie, and we have different slices, different pieces for things. How do you view that?
I'm going to have to be honest. That slice of the pie has changed over the years.
Yes.
I entered into the professorate in 2011. I had already been an adjunct while I was going through my graduate education. But I knew that there was a 6-year clock for getting tenure and associate professor. And so usually when people get that, in our field, you have to research, you have to teach at the top of your game. You want to win awards. You want to be known in the community. You want to be known outside the community. You want to make sure you're presenting nationally and internationally. You have to push. And it's an understanding. I mean, people literally kill for tenure. I mean, it has happened several times. So when I got there, I really had to get with mentors that helped me to get to the mark, right? So that was a big piece of my pie for at least 6 years. And during that 6 years on that clock, you have to, when you go into the professorate, and I was at the graduate level, so I teach it in doctoral and master's programs. I had to also assure them that I was going to pass my board exams, get licensed, do all these other things. So you're on the clock for a lot of other things. So I had to really not only figure out what my life was going to look like, but how this big piece of the pie was going to take up most of it. But with that, I had mentoring at the time that said, hey, don't let this be separate from what you enjoy doing and what you're also getting paid for in your business. So I had a mentor that helped me to marry the two. We called it marrying your life with your profession in a way that it wasn't really stepping on the toes of one or the other. And so when I would have speaking engagements, when I would have other things, I would make sure that they were academically based so that I could count that towards my academic rewards and my academic achievements, but also make sure I was balancing that with the real world, and making sure I was doing research and make sure I was doing other things. So that 6 years went by, and then you're on another clock because you want to get full professor, and full professor is the top level professorship that you can get outside of awards professorships. And so I knew I wanted that accomplished in 10 years, which ain't really
10 years
not
on
the
top
average.
of the 6?
10 years total.
Okay, got it.
So I'd already done the 6. Now we got 4 more years to try and squeeze in full professor.
Wow.
Mind you, the average age of a full professor is 55 years old. So for me, that was not something that was like, oh yeah, you can do it. I mean, if I shared it with people, they were like, so I stopped sharing it. So let's say that.
Okay.
So with that, I had to find a new balance because I knew I wanted certain life goals to be met.
Okay.
So I said to myself, hey, I'm going to set this goal, but how can I fit it in a way that makes it comfortable for me to also have a larger piece of the pie now be my personal life? And so I also kept that in mind when choosing a mate that was good for me, right?
Okay.
I knew that I wanted to be with someone that understood my sacrifices as I understood theirs, but they were there to support those within reason, right?
Mm-hmm,
within reason. And so in the next 4 years, I was able to achieve full professor. So that pie has now really changed, right? So I would say that.
And what age did you, what age did you get full professorship at?
I was 38. So 38.
38. And the average age is 55.
55.
I'm just pointing out for the audience, the 38 versus the 55. I just want the folks to know that it was done. But again, a couple of things that I heard you say that are really important. You were intentional about the balance you wanted to create. You got mentors and sponsors to be a part of that journey to help you map out how that could happen. I think that's one of those things that people and oftentimes the mentors and sponsors we need are already in our circle.
Yeah.
Or they're no more than one step away, one connection away from someone we already have. And we either feel shy or intimidated or, they won't have the time or all of these things. We talk ourselves out of potential greatness because we won't make the connection. That's something, there's a nonprofit board that I sit on, and we mentor junior high and high school girls. And one of the things that I always tell them is, I'm standing in front of you, this whole group of professional women, and we're telling you, connect with us on LinkedIn or send us an email so that we can be connected. I said, when you get back home, you're going to say, wow, they're really busy. They don't really have time for me. And I said, you're going to talk yourself out of emailing me or connecting with me on LinkedIn. Yeah. I'm telling you, I want to help you. Connect with me. That's one of the last things I say to them. Like, I already know what's going to happen in your mind. And those are high school girls. But for those of us that are full adults and we've never had someone maybe directly verbalize that to us and say, I want to help you. Don't discount what your potential is or what your greatness is because you think, oh, that person's too busy. I don't need to reach out. So I love that you made that a big part of where you were trying to go. Like, I don't have to figure this out alone, do this journey alone. I can reach out for support at the beginning and make navigating this journey a little bit easier. Because at the end of the day, you still have to do the work, right? Your mentors, your sponsors, they couldn't get the hours for you, teach the classes, do all the things. But you also tied that in to your personal brand. Beautiful Brown Baby Doll and all of the things you do there. Again, for those that haven't run across you on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, you like all of the platforms. Tell us how Beautiful Brown Baby Doll started. One, because that's such an amazing story. And then how it has progressed into where it is today, really without you setting an intention at the beginning that I want to be an influencer or I want to have millions of people following me. you set out to share a story. So tell us how Beautiful Brown Baby Doll even got started.
That's hilarious. Every time I tell the story and I think about it, everybody has all these wonderful, striking stories. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, no. Mine was more like, oh, I think, I love talking to people and people like asking me questions. And I had a lot of people like, yeah, you should share your story and you should. And I'm like, yeah, but what do you do? And so I had a
Right.
friend of mine, actually a sorority sister, and she knew about YouTube. She was like, it's this new thing and it's called YouTube. And, you share your stories and stuff and maybe you would be good on there. She was into fitness and stuff. And I was too.
Okay.
That was around the time or after I had lost over 100 pounds. And I was like, I already lost the weight. Like, it's not like I can video it. I don't know what I
Right.
can do with that. She was like, well, you can share, all kinds of stuff. So then I got on, I did a video and I talked about my weight loss and just all the things that had changed in my life with weight loss. So I was probably one of the first ones to approach it from a spiritual, emotional connection to physical.
Okay.
And to me, that was important because I felt like my weight loss journey was more emotions based. And I realized it wasn't about the physical because once I put the emotions to rest and started to figure that out, it was easier to lose the weight. It was the first time I had succeeded in that amount of time. And so I was able to tell that story. And literally when I came back to the video, it had something like 50,000 views. And I was like,
Okay.
what? What? Like,
Who are
of
these
course,
people?
I thought I was great. And the name, so I
Right.
should have said, where did the name come from? Because back then it wasn't like a hustle. It wasn't like, ooh,
Right.
I need to have the best name so I can get some money. People need to know,
Right.
they need to follow me. No, I had this idea, like, I had always been called a doll growing up. Even now,
Okay.
at dang near 40 years old, people still like, you look like a doll. And I'm
Okay.
like, okay, I'm about to be 40 now. But like, I had always been likened into a Cabbage Patch Kid, a China doll, a porcelain doll, whatever doll. And so I learned early that dolls tell stories. You pass dolls down the line because they usually have some story attached to them. They usually are cleaned up and changed and transformed for a new generation. So that was powerful in itself to me, not just the look of me, but also what that represented.
The story.
Then further, the story. And then the further was BBBD, 3-dimensional. I always felt that I had so many dimensions to my personality. I'm funny, I'm silly, I like to talk, I love beauty, but I'm also kind of a tomboy, and I also like sports, I like this. I mean, everything. And so I always had these dimensions to me. So Beautiful Brown Baby Doll made sense to me. And when I created that name, I didn't expect for it to really catch on, but it did. And people enjoyed it of all races. And it's just, that's where it started. And from there, I just kind of grew. I always tell people I started taking YouTube seriously at the end of 2017. That's when I really got serious about putting out content, thinking about my content, because before then it was like, turn on the camera. What do I feel like talking about?
Right.
I didn't really care. And then I got serious, and so did the opportunities, and so did the rewards and the gains and monetary, which is not what I was going for. So I think that those are the kind of people that get blessed the most, that are not looking for things.
You're just looking to share and help people.
It just grew. I wanted to share with people, and I wanted them to learn about their spiritual, emotional, and physical growth. And that turned into them asking me more questions that led to more content. Like, how did you get through school? How did you find money? How did you get a side hustle? How do you do your makeup? How do you do your skincare? It just turned into lots of things.
Turn into a lifestyle blog, literally.
Definitely.
That's what you have. And that, I think that attracts, and I think women are always looking for someone that is doing some of the things that we want to do, but in a fun way, a way that creates space for them to see, oh, I could do that. I'm going to watch Dr. Nina do this skincare routine. Oh, I could do that routine. It's like within their grasp to do it, which makes it And it's one of the other cool things I think about you is for all of the amazing things you've done. Obviously, everyone doesn't get the opportunity to know you personally. But listen, y'all, she is just a down-to-earth, cool chick. Like, literally. We laugh about the craziest stuff, cry about the stuff that hurts. Like, it's like everyday living, right? But
It is.
But I think what makes it, one of the things that makes it so approachable is you present it in a way like, I'm your girlfriend, I'm your sister, and here's what I do, and I'm going to show you how you can do it. And listen, here are all the links for you to go purchase it and do it for yourself.
And we call it Ask. So Juanita, my
Right.
assistant, named it Ask, Auntie, Sister, Cousin. So she
Listen,
said you are the
I love that.
Ask Dr. Nina, Auntie, Sister, Cousin.
I love that. And that really is the approach, in your community loves you in that way. Like it's fun to watch because, obviously there is a whole nother culture within that beauty lifestyle, way where people kind of lose themselves, right? And it takes over probably even the best of them. You see some crazy and some outlandish stuff on these platforms, but and I think too, how is the spiritual component one of the things that keeps you grounded? I know that's not everybody's life, but you and I have talked about that in depth, the good and the bad of growing up in church and spiritual components of us as adults. But what does that look like for you even now? You said almost 40. How is that spiritual part that keeps you grounded? How does that look for you today versus maybe how you grew up and attended church and was a part of spiritual growth?
So, I find myself having to recalibrate more often now. Because, back when I was a child, we was in church all the time. Most all your free time. And when I say all the time, it was because a lot of the activities I engaged in, like drill team or, spelling bee or all of that I was a part of in the Church of God in Christ. So that also led to being at church all the time.
Right.
And speaking all the time. So when I got older, I'm not going to lie, I got a little bit more rebellious. I had periods where I did not want to go to church. I'm like, I went to church enough for a lifetime. Thank you.
And I think we all go through that. It's like, okay, I put in quite a bit of time.
But the relationship I've maintained with God has developed in many ways.
Okay.
And so I always find myself getting back to, the house of God. I might take a little time off, but I still do not take off time from God. So that's my prayer. That's my reading of the word, motivational word, talking to God. I talk to God like God is my uncle. Like, hey, God, why?
It's me.
Why? No, I'm usually asking a question and then apologizing. Like, Lord, I know I'm not supposed to question you and everything. But so I try to make sure I balance that and listen to myself. Like, I'm an anxious person naturally, but I have to remember why am I having that? It's because I need to draw closer to my faith and what I believe in. Is that because right now I need to lean less on my own understanding? So my balance comes in with actually being able to hear myself, hear from God, but also showing God daily that I appreciate what has been given and done for me and through me. So I think that my balance comes a little bit different from just going to church.
Absolutely.
I use those gifts to make sure I'm giving. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
As it should.
Absolutely.
Because really, the relationship that God wants with us is a one-on-one relationship, not just a go to the physical church building, have him for a moment, and then you leave the same. You'd much prefer the one-on-one relationship,
the one-on-one.
which again is a daily relationship. That's a daily walk, a daily journey of, sometimes I say my Peter spirit show up, and I'll be like, "Ooh, I didn't mean to get them like that." But okay, let me get
I
back right.
know.
And that's everyday living, right? That's the real living. God already knows us. He created us. So what we do is no surprise to him, but he's always looking for us to come back to him and say, okay, let me get my heart right.
Let's bring
Let me
let's
get my
bring it
mouth right.
in.
Let's
Let's
let's dial it back in. As I say,
that
little girl. He called me little
woo,
girl. Little girl, dial it back.
little
Pull
girl,
it
bring it
together.
back. Cause when my mouth getting bad, that's when I really know it's
Like, oh
yeah.
yeah, let me get some quiet time, some prayer time in there and pull myself together.
Definitely.
How has this balance shifted? You got married a little over a year ago, just celebrated
Hmm.
an anniversary just a few months ago. So that's a whole nother component. Listen, you already had a busy, full life. And I remember one of the conversations we had before the wedding, months before the wedding. And I was like, Nina, okay, you're going to have to get some of this stuff off your plate. You're going to have to get an assistant.
Hmm.
I think it's one of those things that we as CEOs, when we wear that hat, we're like, I created this baby. I built it, and it's hard. I'm not going to downplay that. It's hard to let some things go, to hand them over to other people. But I was like, and Sean, your husband is a busy man. He works, he has his own brand. Y'all are doing
Hmm.
brand stuff together now. It's like, I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and just get this ready for the marriage, which I think is very
Hmm.
important in, again, trying to create that balance and maintain that balance. So what's some of the bigger things that surprised you about shifting and rebalancing after you got married, or, as you were making those final plans for the wedding and shifting into being Mrs. Harness?
Yeah.
Miss Harness.
Well,
Like, I love the name.
I do too. I do too. I love it and thank you. I was gonna say I which is not always a bad thing. So let me say this, especially to any age listener. I live in Nina's world.
Hmm.
And I think in the past, so before this even got into being with my husband, that was
Okay.
never very popular. My friends have been my friends because they've always understood I lived in Nina's world, meaning
Okay.
that I had to learn how to self-support, self-love, grow in self in order to be there for other people. One thing my friends
Okay.
can say, because I think some of your first relationships are friendship based, platonic friendship
Right.
based, is that I may not be the one that can sit on the phone with you all day, but if you call me and
Right.
say you got a flat tire, I'm gonna be there. If you call and
Right.
say you need to talk, Nina, can you drop it for a minute? I need to talk. I got you. I'm not gonna be the
Right.
one that's with you at happy hours. I'm not gonna be the one that's with you at the club on the weekends. But when it really matters in terms of how you define really matters, I'm going
Yes.
to be there. So I would
Absolutely.
say that I carried that same spirit into marriage, but with understanding of my husband's needs as well. So while my husband allows Nina's world, he also wants
Right.
Mrs. Harness to be
Absolutely.
present. And so he's been also what helped is, and I think this is what most people mean when they say equally yoked,
Okay.
is that I have a husband that has his own life too.
Yes.
So it was no way, shape, or form going to work as I had tried in the past with people that didn't understand the sacrifices or the life that I came with,
Okay.
because
That's important.
he too couldn't expect for me to change overnight into a stay-at-home wife. That's not going to work. I
Right.
also had to be real about what I came with while also
Hmm.
balancing that with what he came with. And we were
Okay.
able to, and we're still able to grow in that. Like, we listen to each other. Hey, I have
Yeah.
this to do today, but we're going to make sure we have this coming up to spend time with each other. So we make time for special dinners. We make time for the movies. We make time for sitting on the couch together. We make time for just helping each other. And because we're both mostly at home, it helps because we're able to have meals together. But I had to grow to that.
Right.
Because even my mother will say this, and this has been a childhood characteristic. So y'all, don't think that your childhood gets thrown in the trash can. It is always a part of you. My mother always told me I was the type of child she had to peel from her bedroom. Like I was always in there doing something, discovering something, creating something, making something. I started my own little radio show on, nobody was listening to it, it was on the tape cassette. A little radio show. I had, drawings I was into. I painted my own room at one time. I did.
Wow.
I was the type of child that I'm not going to be in your face. I'm going to do my own thing till you have to tell me to pull away. And so I even noticed that with growing into a fruitful relationship, I could be in a room all day, not because I don't love my husband or my family.
Right.
Just because I can entertain myself.
Yeah.
With all kinds of things. And I had to learn how to balance that. So when I say balance, what I had to do was doing check-ins. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? I make it a point to walk down to my husband's office, see how he doing, what he doing. Is he thirsty? What does he want to talk about? What does he just need to vent about? What does he want to hear me vent about? Sometimes he'll be like, now, what's going on with you? Because you're not talking about it. So I had to learn to share too. Because sometimes when you are the person that's constantly go, you've learned to hold things in and only reserve space for other people. And so I have to learn to share too. And I have to learn to explore with him and understand what he wants to do. But I also had to learn how to keep some of myself. It's okay that sometimes I like to be in solitude, even married. While communicating.
That's my recharge.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I've learned all of
my
that.
husband's that way. I call it cave time. He can be in his office 4 hours. I don't know all what he's doing in there, but clearly he needs that time. But I'm like, it's fine. I just tell him, like, when cave time's over, let me know something. Just
when cave time is over.
That's it. But I'm not bothered that he needs that solitude time. And you know, me as a people person, a leader, coach, speaking all of these things, solitude is how I recharge. I need that alone time to just kind of debrief myself and be okay. You and I talk about this guilt-free friendship. Like it's not my responsibility to keep everybody from their growth work, right? We talked about this earlier. We can see them about to hit the brick wall. We said to them, you are about to hit the brick wall. And some people, their growth journey for them, they have to hit the brick wall and then go, oh man, that hurt. I should do something else.
Absolutely. And we can be there for it, but we have to also maintain our own boundaries. We have to. So I will say I'm still learning. I mean, I only been a year in the game now. So
yes.
But I feel like this has been a big learning.
How gently you said it. I'm still learning.
And don't think I'm learning without prompts from my husband. Thank God.
Right?
That he's and I'm a good prompt person for him. Like, hey, babe, no, I don't need that. I need you to do this.
Right.
Okay. Or this is what I'm needing today. Okay.
Right.
And I think we're both learning that it's okay to share those things. And that's a part of balance. Like you can't just balance in your head. You have to also allow others to be a part of that balance.
Share it, especially with the spouses. Like this is something that I shared with you, Nina, before you and Sean got married, that men, at least the men we're married to, are and will be our protectors. If somebody's causing us grief, pain, they don't really care what the connection is, how long the connection's been. They're like, we're going to stop this. This is going to stop. And I told you before you got married, I was like, okay, now look, this is how husbands that truly are take their role as protector of their spouse seriously, I said, this is probably how this is going to show up. And when it started showing up that way, you were like, Myra. I was like, yeah, I know. They be serious about it. Like, off with somebody's head that is causing their spouse some pain, some tears, some stress. They're like, let's, do I need to call and end that? And I'll be like,
That'll make you get it together quick too, won't it?
Okay.
You be like, I don't want him to call him. Y'all don't let him
want
call.
the husbands to get involved. No. Don't let the husbands have to call. Yeah. But you know what? I love that even for, and here's the thing, when we talk about high achieving, high performing women, sometimes, people want to tag you with that like you're doing too much. And maybe some people are. But this balance, this balance that we try to stay focused on and keep in front of us is what I think keeps us coming back to center to say, do I need to be doing that? Do I need to be doing it right now? There's some of your projects that we've talked about. I'm like, I don't know that you need to do that right now, or maybe we need to slow this part down or add this part in, or whatever that looks like, because no matter high achieving and high performing we are, we're some of the women that kind of label of women. We have to keep the balance thing in front of us a lot. Because we do enjoy the things that we do, and we do the things that we do well. And so there's this tendency to just keep going, just keep doing it. And, your spouse or your own personal health or your own personal rest is being jeopardized when you stay at a pace that is just not sustainable for the lifestyle where we want to do well, but we also want to be able to say that God is being glorified in the things that we do. And I just don't think you can say that when you are doing a lot, but you're destroying everything around you, your relationships, your health, or your mental sanity. I don't think that's a glorification to God that, oh God, I did all of these things, but you sacrificed everything that was truly important to you to get it done. So what's your thoughts kind of around that topic? And now that you have your tenured professorship, you have the beautiful brown baby doll, you and Sean are looking at doing some things together. You have a whole husband. Now that's what I always call it, a whole husband, because they are a whole thing all in themselves, right? What are you looking forward to for the future? And just enjoying the things that you do, vacationing and all of those things. What is the future that you want to keep evolving toward, you think looks like for you?
I think I want to keep evolving into being effective in my many roles, effective as a wife, effective as a friend, effective as a sister, effective as a business owner. Effective doesn't mean working more, right? So it means learning to work smart. It means being able to listen to be able to listen to actually take in and not to respond. Learning to hear from more people that I can learn from as well. And I also look forward to continued growth in various areas, in family, in networks, in communication, in spiritual health. I look to do all those things, but I'm going to keep the stamp of effectiveness there. Also, the new thing that I'm really working on, and I think that this happens like every 5 years for most of us, is realigning and re-enhancing boundaries.
Okay.
Because things change around us so much that it's hard to realize. And then when you wake up one day and you realize so much has changed, and how much you need to update, just like we update systems, like we update
Right.
computers. We need to update our boundaries, our expectations, and our rules that are governing our own lives. And I'm finding myself in that space now where I am realigning boundaries. I have relationships that are changing for me, and I have deeper connections now going into this season as a wife now. And I'm just looking to enhance and grow upon those while protecting those things.
I love that.
And I think those are the biggest things right now. The biggest things. And those things in
Yeah.
themselves bring greatness, right? So you don't even have
Yeah.
to say the greatness part, because if you protect what you have and you enhance it and you're more effective at it and your spiritual growth is there, you're going to have the greatness.
Yeah. I love that. And this boundaries thing, I think you and I did a series, was that last year? Year before last. Oh Lord. One of the
I know,
years.
right?
On boundaries. It started out with one episode, and ladies kept asking for more, and I think we wound up doing 3 or 4, maybe 5 parts.
I think we did 5.
Was it 5? Wow. On just talking about boundaries, because I think that is it's one of those sticky points, right? People want to go after the dreams and goals they have, but so often to achieve those things, you have to put those boundaries in place, because if we always, for one point, if we always allow people to come and dump all their stuff on our plate, then now our stuff is covered up with everybody else's stuff. And we can't get to what we are assigned to do, because we're so busy trying to balance everybody else's stuff. And the boundaries, I always say one of my goals is definitely with women in my intimate circle, my close circle, is to help them get to creating those boundaries and that balance guilt free. So Dr. Nita, I appreciate your time. Tell us, I know you have a free gift that you're going to be giving to our listeners, and we're going to drop the links for that in the description of the video. So share with us a little bit about what that is. I'm ready to do my own download.
Yes. So I have a program that several thousand people have taken. It is a free 8-day supernatural video program. And
Okay.
it is a program that hones in on exactly what we've been discussing, that balance between mental, spiritual, and physical, the ways for us to not only just be our best selves or say we are, but to define that and execute the steps necessary to get to where we want to go, while figuring out how to make detours if we must. So the supernatural video program has helped many with that. And I think that they will enjoy learning more about it. It has a lot of, follow along and videos and some wonderful free resources that come with it.
I love it. And I love that you included detours, managing those detours, because listen, none of us have life completely figured out. We start the year with the goals and the things in the journal and Google pop-ups and all of the stuff.
Yeah.
And then life be lifing.
Life be lifing. Life be wife, life be knifing and life. It be excellent, cutting stuff off real quick.
All of the things real quick. So you guys can get that. I've been through the program, and it is a wonderful program. You get to self-pace through it and get what you need. And I think in the future, Dr. Nina's going to be updating that, and you'll be getting more information. So look, stay connected to her when you get the download. I think
Supernatural part 2. Supernatural
okay, part 2.
Okay.
Listen, stay connected to her. Make sure you get on her email list. And if you happen to be one of the people that's not following Beautiful Brown Baby Doll on YouTube, listen, that's the best place to stay connected with her, to get all the video updates and the great content that she shares over there. And she's consistent with it. So, you're not going to get Beautiful Brown Baby Doll 1 month and not see her for 3 months. She stays.
It used to be like that. But...
right. She stays consistent. Listen, that's the power of a team, right?
It
We
is.
don't have to do all of these things alone. So, Dr. Nina, again, thank you so very much. Y'all, we're going to come back later. I'm going to come back for a bonus episode and tell y'all how this lady had me in Home Goods. Listen, I'm still... Listen, I'm just going to tell you, if Dr. Nina asks you to go to Home Goods with her,
It's gonna be a while.
it's going to be, you're going to, listen, you're going to enjoy yourself, because it's going to be a long, fun journey. She gets so excited. Ooh.
Myra,
She
you
gets
were so
excited
happy
by
to
it.
get over to that line. You was like,
I'm like,
yeah,
come on,
that's
man.
cute. Come on.
Let's get in the line. Let's get in the line.
That was nice. Come on. That's good.
But listen, one of the most probably fun things we've done outside, because we did no work that day.
No.
We shopped,
None.
we ate, and just had a good time, which is necessary for us, people that are always on the move and going and doing the things that we love, doing the things that we
Necessary for the
love.
balance.
Necessary for the balance. Listen, we need to make a T-shirt that says that. Necessary for the balance. That's something right there.
I love it.
That's
Necessary
something
for
right
the
there.
balance.
I love
it.
Look, I'm going to put that on your assistant's calendar.
Juanita. Okay.
Juanita, we shouting you out. We shouting
you out.
Yes. So listen, thank you again, Dr. Nina. Thank you, Maven Nation, for joining us for another episode. And until next time, keep doing your BAM thing. Talk with you soon.